Alright, guys. Hope y'all ready for this. As you notice, we've turned the channel back to followers of Jesus. I guess that was a path God has chosen me to go on. You gotta do what the Lord sent me to do. Alright. Alright, there you go. My bad, guys. I just should have had all this ready. Alright. Okay, let's do this. My fault. So, and this is what me and my wife went over. What me and my wife went over earlier. And I'm going to start there. I feel it's time to go back to the basics, right? So when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on the side of the mountain and sat down. And Jesus' disciples gathered around him. And he taught them. Hold on one second. Okay, so Jesus' disciples, okay. So we went up on the side of this mountain, right? And he saw the crowds, and there was a bunch. I mean, I could only imagine how many people were there, dude. Multitudes, you know what I mean? So he went up on the side of the mountain, and he sat down. And then Jesus' disciples, they gathered around him. So then he taught them. And Jesus said, God bless those people who depend only on him. They belong to the kingdom of God. He said, God bless those people who depend only on God. They belong to the kingdom of heaven. See, I don't know what y'all been taught. And I know a bunch of people, there's all these theological, aspects going into it. But I'm just trying to tell you right now. The Lord and Savior himself said, God bless those people who depend only on him. They belong to the kingdom of heaven. Then he goes on to say, God blesses those people who grieve. They will find comfort. And then Jesus went on to say that God blesses those people who are humble. The earth will belong to them. And we know, right, that the good Lord here is going, eventually after a lot of stuff happens, he reigns for a millennium, you know what I mean? But he said, God bless those people who are humble. The earth will belong to them. And see, I think that's one thing I believe the church, and not just the church, but, a lot of Christians, you know what I mean? And, and honestly, the aspect of all what we live in today, you know what I mean? And he said, the people who are humble, the earth, they will inherit the earth, right? You know what I'm saying? All just for being a humble person. You know what I mean? And, of course, obviously following Jesus. You know what I mean? And see, that's the whole point here. Is that I follow Jesus Christ. And, you know what I mean? I'm done with all the, religious stuff. I ain't never really been, one of these people that was into the religion type thing, man. Because, early in my life, I seen the hypocrisy, you know what I mean? And, but you know, something just like being humble, you know what I mean? You know, those people who are humble and follow Jesus, you know what I mean? They will one day inherit the earth, right? I mean, I'm just trying to say that's you know, you hear all this, you know, we've been going all over a lot of what it says in Catholicism and, you know, just Protestant and all. I'm just trying to tell you what, I'm just at the point, man. You know, I don't even know if I can go non denominational at this point. I just want everybody to know that I follow Jesus. You know what I mean? And then the next thing he said is that God blesses those people who want to obey him more than they eat or drink. They will be given what they want. You know what I mean? And you know, and look what's going on in society now. Hey, what's up, man? Appreciate it. And my point is, you know what I mean? That I feel like, you know, and everybody wants to blame the Catholic Church. Everybody wants to blame the Protestant Church. Everybody wants. I mean, dude, honestly, we're at this point. I mean, we had to blame religion in general, you know? I was trying to say, the evangelist got it right. You know what I mean? These people out here that's been preaching that it's not about religion. It's about a relationship with God. I mean, why did he send his son to save the world, you know, and give us this free gift of salvation? You know, if we only take it and, you know, oh, then we're back to our lives. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it don't matter no more. You know, oh, we can go back to, you know, being jealous or, you know, lying to people, you know, and people still stealing. You know, don't even, you might not want to call it that, but I'm just trying to say, I mean, if you work for the power company in general, you're stealing from people. You know what I mean? I don't care what nobody says. I don't know if you're being robbed by your power company, but man, down here, these people are crooks. You know, Lord help them, you know what I mean? But I'm just trying to say, you know. But, you know, Jesus goes on to say, though, God blesses the people who are merciful. They will be treated with mercy. And I tell you what, man, that's one thing I rarely receive, you know what I mean? Especially from public, you know, I don't want to say, hey, what's going on, guys? Sports. We got, Montes. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know how you say that, but what's up, man? Yeah, man. I hear you, dude. And you're about to make my next point, so I'm kind of glad you said that right now. Whatever your name is. What? Montas? Gotta be a Mexican, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, I'm just trying to say, you know. But I bet you can't even understand what I'm saying. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, he said, you know, they will be treated with mercy. So if you treat other people with mercy, you know what I mean? You will be treated with mercy. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's a lot that we all need to do sometimes. You know what I mean? I mean, just being merciful, you know, is just, you know, I feel like a gift from God itself. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, a lot of that come from, you know, and I've always felt like I've been pretty merciful. But when I found Jesus and I got born again and, you know, and I wanted to, you know, pick up my cross and follow him, that's when that merciful, you know, me being merciful just really came to a full, and, you know, it gets me, you know, and I, you know, this time I was really gonna start responding a lot more to comments. But you know, I guess just at first it just kind of annoyed me so much. You know, it's just like, man, you know, like this man has to be retarded, right? Coming on my live stream, and I imagine he's another one of these people that don't have no followers and probably no friends. You know what I mean? And like I said, you know, by his screen name, we don't even know who he is. You know what I mean? Because that's so, you know, don't even make no sense. You know what I mean? Looks like a made up word, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? We gotta get you out of here, dude. You just, you know, the trolls gotta go. But you know, you're my main point. Let's see here. We'll remove you because you were lame. Let's see here. I don't think I did it right. Oh, there he is. Booyah! Bye-bye now. Hey, what's going on out there, Nora? Yeah, dude. All these spammers, man, don't realize that, they're so easily beat and so easily. It's just really, man, it's just really And see, that's what I'm speaking of right now, man. Not treating others how you want to be treated, bro. And that was the main thing Jesus said the law and the prophets were all about. But, well, what's happening right now is that, I really just want to get on here and read what Jesus said, you know what I mean? And, I feel like maybe I'm just going to get spammed tonight. And really, honestly, I guess let it happen, right? But anyways, back to what I was trying to say. You can only converse so much. And it's just like, then we're just losing time. See, people don't realize. Oh, okay. Good deal. Well, I appreciate you being here, and hanging out with us. We might have a few, people come up on the comments, but you know how people are. But anyways, back to this, guys. That's one reason why. Oh, hey, what's up, Chip? But, anyways, he says after that, God blesses those people whose hearts are pure. They will see him. And we already know what that really means. I mean, it's obviously Paul talked about it, over and over again. And, being pure, man. What is that? Producing the fruit of the Spirit, man. I don't care what all they put on it, man. Kindness, love for others, saying nice things. Don't be lying to people, don't steal, don't cheat, don't, what I'm saying, be a cool person. God sent his son to tell us, a lot of simple things. I feel like that a lot of people complicated very much. Oh yeah. And see, I didn't really know much about it myself till about 4 years ago. I got saved and became a born-again Christian. And I'm telling you, I got baptized in the church. But before that, I just wanted to do a public baptism. But before that, I was baptized by my wife in the bathtub. I'll never forget it, dude. And after that day, my life has never been the same. I almost feel like Ken Peters sometimes and always like, man, my life got really good, man, I'm so happy, it's just like, but, man, Jesus was not lying when he said that and that's what we're about to get to now. And that's what I was trying to, tell Modest a while ago, that God blesses those people who make peace. They will be called his children. For those people who make peace, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you right now, man. They both teach. Really, if you go to the Sermon on the Mount, then go back to every church doctrine. I'm talking about almost every one of them, man. Especially the Catholics and the Protestants, dude. I'm trying to tell you that the elders, the deacons, the priests, all these people. Don't get me wrong. I know he said it, but he said he would make us all kings and priests. You know what I'm saying? He didn't say, hey, I'm going to make these one or two people. Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. It's all about politics. You're right. It is annoying. And see, that's my point, man. They see even John in the book of Revelation, and you got Paul talks about it in Galatians, you know what I mean? Chapter 3, I think, and about how these people, were adding to the gospel, you know what I mean? Was saying, and then they brought all the church leaders in, you got the high priest stuff and, Hebrews and First Peter. Goodness, man. They've almost proven that First and Second Timothy and Titus was added by the church leaders later on. It wasn't even by Titus or Timothy. But they all want to get on here. I'm telling you, really, it's all about control, money. You know what I mean? And I don't really know. Dude, it was crazy, man. That last place we went to, the church was rather by. Because we was trying to get them to help us get this bus. We had a bunch of kids going. But, man, we had this altercation with a lady down there over because she was trying to bully my wife into whooping her kids, bro. Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, we've had a few get on there, but, man, honestly, they'll come. And, but see, that's my point, man. Jesus said out of his own mouth that, those who exalt themselves above others will be brought down. And those who humble themselves will be exalted. You know what I mean? That's the whole point, man. You know what I mean? It's that. And what did Jesus do? Like the old saying, right? What would Jesus do? I remember people used to say that all the time, man. It was on the bracelets. And, good Lord knows that everybody's tried to change that to something else. Amen. I know that's right. But I feel like, if we humble ourselves, like Jesus just said, he said, the humble will inherit the earth. You know what I mean? So, obviously, that means that we're going to be there in the end when he's, got the new heaven and earth. Because, because this world's going to be destroyed and then the new one comes down. You know what I mean? So, I'm just trying to say a lot of it, man. I feel like, and that's what got me with the whole church thing, man. You know what I mean? Like the Catholic Church, they say that if you don't go to the Catholic Church, you're not saved. And I'm just trying to say, I still haven't found that in the Bible yet. Nor the Protestants. All you see, man, that's what I'm trying to say, dude. These people, have took the Bible and twisted it. I'm just trying to say, me personally, I'm to the point where I'm going to go back to the basics. So I'm just going to follow Jesus. You know what I mean? No matter where I go or what I do, as long as I feel like, I'm doing what Jesus did. You know what I mean? What would Jesus do, right? I feel like I'm going to be okay. And I feel like, his whole aspect of the teachings and everything, especially the Sermon on the Mount, was teaching people, like, hey, man, just be cool to one another. You know what I'm saying? Quit being mean to one another. Quit, wanting what everybody has. Quit wanting praise from man and start looking for praise from God. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's funny, Nor. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to say, man, no matter which ones you look at, dude, they all want to get on that, and that's just another way. The devil gets in to confuse people. You know what I mean? Kill, steal, and destroy is all he's ever been good at. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just trying to say, all Jesus kept saying. See, that's what I'm saying. It's about church attendance now. You know what I mean? It's about how much you can put in the pot. You know what I mean? I don't care which one they look like. You know what I'm saying? You got pastors, that one guy, he's got 2 jets he was bragging about on the internet. I don't even, Kenneth Copeland. Goodness, man, look at the rest of them. I'm just trying to say, if all the pastors got together, right, and put all their money in there, they could end world hunger. You imagine that, Hey, yeah. Hey, you have a good night, too. Appreciate you, coming out here with us. And I was trying to get anybody I can get to. Just tell about, Jesus Christ. We'll take it easy out there. All right, so where are we at? He said, God blesses those people who are treated badly for doing right. They belong to the kingdom of heaven. He said, God will bless you when they insult you, mistreat you, and tell all kinds of evil lies about you because of me. Jesus said, just like that guy was on the live stream earlier that was just like spamming me. I had to block his butt, Goodness, man. Go get a life besides mine, You better be glad we ain't on. I'm representing Jesus right now, so I gotta, act right. Lord help me. But anyways, but he said, be happy and excited. You'll have a great reward in heaven. So that already lets me know that I must be doing right. You know what I mean? If not, people just keep on scrolling, man. But that's what I'm trying to say. We got to go back to the true, way, the truth, the way, and the life. You know what I mean? And that is Jesus Christ, and that's following him, man. You know what I'm saying? He said, pick up your cross and follow me. He didn't say pick up your cross and follow the Catholic Church. He didn't say pick up your cross and follow the Jehovah's Witnesses and all these people like you got the Mormons and the Book of Mormon. Oh, whatever his name is. I can't even think of his name. Right now. Thank God for it. But that's what I'm saying, man. Said no prophecy of the scriptures didn't come, it didn't come from the prophets itself. It come from God, man. And I'm just trying to say, if there was more we needed to know, why didn't God just send these people? You know what I mean? Why did he have to send his son to lay it all down? Because that is what was supposed to happen, man. Jesus said it had to happen. There wasn't no way around it. But he says, you are the salt for everyone on earth. Right? I mean, man, that is just such a big statement. He said, but if salt no longer tastes like salt, how can it make food salty? All it is good for is to be thrown out and walked on. What did Jesus say when he lined them up on the right and the left, right? These people even helped the least of his followers. He's like, man, I appreciate what you've done. That's why you're getting this. And they was like, man, when do we do this? He's like, when you help the least of my people that these people thought was important. See, that's what I'm saying. Jesus cares about every one of us, man. I don't care, what church you go to or, how you feel in this world and, society. I'm just trying to tell you, to the Lord, you are important. You know what I mean? To God, he said he knows the number of the hairs on your head. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he said to those people on the left, them goats. He's like, man, they was like, hey, when did we not help you? You know what I mean? Obviously, they're going to be those people, oh, we preached in his name. These wolves in sheep clothing. You know what I'm saying? And I just tell you what, he's like, man, nah, dude. I don't know you. You know what I mean? He said, they tossed out the darkness, gnashing, and wailing and gnashing the teeth, right? We all know how it goes with the goats, right? So, and that's what gets me in this next verse. It's like everybody always just like skips it or something. He said, you are the light for the whole world. A city built on top of a hill cannot be hidden. And no one lights a lamp and puts it under a clay pot. Instead, it's placed on a lampstand where it can give light to everyone in the house. Make your light shine so others will see the good that you do and will praise your Father in heaven. I'm just trying to say, what's the need for all this, sneakiness and secret societies that can still blend in with the church? I'm just trying to say, well, that if this light cannot be hidden, you shouldn't put it under a clay pot. You shouldn't be hiding it. You should put it on top of the lampstand so it shines to the whole house. I was trying to say, all right. Jesus said, don't suppose I came to do away with the law and the prophets. And see, this is what gets me, when everybody takes these verses, like, especially like, and I like, and really I think I just like the Ryan guy from God.net just because he messes with the people, almost, annoys me the most. But Jesus said, and, it's not, I'm just trying to say, man, we know Paul explained it. We know Jesus explains it. I think twice in the Gospels. And everybody keeps complaining. Oh, it's, this, that. I mean, heck, the Catholics probably got a list of sins longer than the Jews did. You know what I mean? And we know what was Jesus doing mostly in the Sermon on the Mount. He was going back and correcting what they thought. The eye for the eye. You know what I mean? The divorce and all this other stuff, right? I'm telling you, it's not about religion. It's not about following these man laws that the church, even Jesus said, hey man, that you refuse to eat, drink, you fast, you doing all this stuff for the word of God. He's like, that's great. But do it in private. Store your treasures in heaven. You know what I mean? So moss and rust cannot harm them. He said, I did not come to do away with them, but to give them their full meaning. Heaven and earth may disappear, but I promise you, not even a period or comma will ever disappear from the law. Everything written in it must happen. Law and the prophets, remember? And that's what he said. John 3:16. He's like, man, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Jesus said the Son of Man must be lifted up, like Moses lifted the snake in the wilderness. Well, let's go to it, right? If you reject even the least important command in the law and teach others to do the same, you will be the least important. And look at the church, idolatry. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say, bro, most of these pastors, you know what I mean? I mean, it's honestly, and not everybody, man. I know some good ones out there. And I tell you what, he gets on my nerves sometimes, but that Richard Alonzo Jr., I love that guy. Love that, cross forgiveness, David Lynn. God, that dude is, awesome people, man. And I can go on and on and on, but there's lots of good people out there preaching the gospel, man. I'm telling you, there were so many in heaven. John couldn't even count them, dude. He said it was a number that was, unable to be counted. How many he's seen, that was present with God, right? So, he said, but if you obey and teach others its commands, you will have an important place in the kingdom. So what does that mean? It means, do not kill, do not steal, do not commit adultery, don't worship no other gods, and don't, covet what other people have, don't lie, you know what I mean? Don't steal, and, man, dude. Treat others how you want to be treated. Not even that. Jesus, he went better than that. He's like, man, even love your enemies, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because that's what God, our Father in heaven, man, because he loves everybody. His whole intentions of all this stuff was so everybody could be saved. But I feel like, the misleading of the church, and that's not just, we can't just single out one here anymore. I'm just trying to say at this point, I almost feel like the elders, the deacons, the priests, all these people, what did he say? If we exalt ourselves above others, it will get us put down. But if you humble yourself, you will be exalted. I'm just trying to say, at this point, the humble inherit the earth, right? You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say, man, it sounds like being humble and kind and, loving. And if you really do a lot of these things, even John said, if you, put the love first and all you do, it cancels, it handles all the rest. I know it's hard, man. I'm telling you, dude. You wouldn't believe the stuff that I do now because of Jesus, man. I'm telling you. I ain't even into all that Bible and the belt crap, that the Baptist church tries to teach. I imagine the Catholics do too. I'm just trying to say, man, that's what gets me with these people that punish their kids. Like, oh, you're going to write Bible verses all night and this and that. You know what? I tell my kids the reason why I'm not spanking them down is because of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff I'm trying to teach myself, that Jesus is saves. You know what I mean? This is, a fun thing. I mean, awesome thing. You know what I'm saying? All you hear about people talking about sports and this going on and that. And don't nobody even talk about the true battle that's going on right now between heaven and hell, man. You know what I'm saying? God and the devil. I mean, man, what else is even more important when we're looking at the days that stand before us is in the end. He said it will be, in those days will be as is the day of Noah. People were eating, drinking, marrying, all the way up to the flood came. He said it'd be the same way, dude. I was trying to say, man, I feel like the true thing, and that's one of the reasons I like, Richard Alonzo Jr., man, David Land and people like that, man. I even used to like, Dore Love, too, man. There were several other ones, too, man. I mean, I could go on, the whole Christ Forgiveness Network, really. But that was the thing, man. That's what they was doing, dude. And then everybody always gets sidetracked with all this religion crap, man. It's not about religion. It's not about, you know, making sure, you know, you're doing, you know. Jesus said, don't worry about it. I mean, he was like, man, you know, be nice to people. Give to people if you know you can. You know, and just be a good person, man. Be cool, man. You know, be nice to people. You know what I'm saying? Don't say mean things. Don't lie to people. Don't kill people. Don't steal from people. You know, only worship the one God. You know what I mean? See, right here's what I'm talking about. He says, if you don't, you know, obey his teachings and, you know, and what's in the commandments, right? He said, I promise you, you'll never get into the kingdom of heaven. I'm just trying to say, bro, where do we start? I mean, dude, it's about having a personal relationship with God, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about, dude. You know, not between you and this group of people and, you know, oh, man, if I don't make it church Sunday, you know, I'm going to miss the rapture. Nah, man. It's nothing to do with that, dude. It's all about doing what God wants to do. Jesus said, put God's work first. Then the rest will come, you know what I mean, as it goes, dude. That's what we're always forgetting, you know what I mean? Because it's man that's giving us all these things to do. Because that's what they don't want. All it is sitting down. I'm telling you, man, from now on, all I do for the next while, and I'm just going to read what Jesus said. You know what I mean? He said, and right here's what I'm talking about. He said, you know our ancestors were told, do not murder. A murderer must be brought to trial. But he said, but I promise you, if someone is angry with you, excuse me, if you are angry with someone, you will have to stand trial. If you call someone a fool, you will be taken to court. And if someone says that someone is worthless, you will be in the dangers of fire of hell. You know what I mean? He said the least of them that we felt was important, man. I'm telling you, dude. And there's many times I'll be around some of these people, I just be like, man, there's no way God loves this motherfucker. Just by, you know, but what he's saying and all this and that, man, you know, it's not true. He said that he even knows when a bird falls to the ground. And then he, you know, talks about, you know, if you're placing gifts on, you're trying to do stuff at church. But he said, you know, that's what I'm saying, man. The experience that I've had with a lot of this, especially, you know, recently, like I said, I ain't been a born again Christian, but almost 4 years now. But he said, if you're about to place your gift on the altar, remember that someone is angry with you. Leave your gift there in front of the altar and make peace with that person. Then come back and offer your gift to God. Before you are dragged into court, make friends with the person who has accused you of doing wrong. If you don't, you'll be handed over to the judge, then to the officer who will put you in jail. I promise you will not get out until you have paid every last cent you owe. And you know the commandment that says, be faithful in marriage. But I tell you, if you look at another woman and want her, you are already unfaithful in your thoughts. And then he goes in, you know, your right eye calls you sin. He goes, you know, if your right hand calls you sin, you know, you need to get rid of them, right? Better for, you know, you lose a part of your body than to be thrown into the fires of hell. He said, you've been taught that a man who divorces his wife must write out divorce papers for her. But I tell you not to divorce your wife unless she has committed a terrible sexual sin. And you know, I was trying to say, dude, it almost seems like, you know, the church, you know, back, you know, like the deacons, you know, they you know, they want to be married but to one woman and all this and that. But dude, I'm telling you, I imagine it's just everywhere, bro. Heck, the place I was going, you know, and I'm just trying to say, even if we look at it like I am, you know what I mean? It's still not right, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not right to judge them. It's not right for us to judge them. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say, we have a judge. and that is the Son of Man, Jesus Christ, the Messiah, man, And I'm just trying to say, I feel like that's where we go, get on our high horses and start exalting ourselves up there, dude. You know what I mean? And I was trying to say, seems like it's best to be just a humble person, kind, be generous, help people, don't lie, don't steal, don't kill, only follow Jesus, you know what I'm saying? So, it's talking about if you do divorce her, you will cause her to be unfaithful, just as any man who marries her is guilty of taking another man's wife. So I'm trying to say, dude, he was going back and correcting it then. See, that's what he got. I feel like that's a lot of the reason why they, did what they did. It wasn't just, you hear all kinds of different reasons why, they did what they did to him. But I'm trying to tell you right now, it's because he was coming in. And, he was telling us what stuff was really meant. You know what I mean? He was fulfilling the prophecies. You know what I mean? He said, our ancestors were told. And see, this whole chapter, he's almost going back. You know what we've been told. He says, almost like 3 times here. The commandment which says, be faithful in marriage. He said, let's see, I think it's right here. Like, already 3 times he's going back. He's saying, our ancestors said this. They said that. And see, I'm trying to tell you right now, Paul was already saying it. John was already saying it. Like, man, they're already doing it, bro. He was like, man. And I ain't trying to hate on, the books. I'm just trying to say, if you look into it, they are undisputed Pauline epistles, which they know for sure he wrote. And there is disputed Paulines. You know what I mean? And I guarantee you, lots of people don't even know that. A lot of people run away. Oh, let me go back. Let the church save. No, only Jesus Christ will save you. It takes having a relationship with God to be saved. You cannot be saved because your church is going to get you there. It's not, man. It's not. And don't get me wrong, I know there's people that reap and the people that sow, but man, I'm telling you, the whole point is us out here spreading the message of God, doing what God wants us to do, and that is following Jesus, picking up our cross and following Him, and letting Him live through us. He said, our ancestors were told, don't use the Lord's name to make a promise unless you are going to keep it. But I tell you not to swear by anything when you make a promise, because heaven is God's throne, so don't swear by heaven, and the earth is God's footstool, so don't swear by the earth. Jerusalem is the city of the great king, so don't swear by it neither, right? Don't swear by your own head, he says. But what do you do every time you get up in the American court system? Huh? Tell me what you do. They swear you in, man. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to tell you, dude. Scarlet Beast in the book of Revelation is supposed to be a one world religion. Look at the Constitution. Have freedom of religious practice. Look at the Freemasons. All of them can come together. And you know what gets me about a lot of that? The topic at hand. Jesus, right? You got one, thinks Jesus burning in hell. And a lot of them don't think that, but they think he's burning in hell and shit. Excuse my language. Then you got the Muslims say he's going to come back and crush the cross, and anybody who believes that he died on the cross, something like that. And then you got the Christians who believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, the Messiah, who was sent to save the world. Took our sins upon himself, and, through him we are reconciled to God, and we are children of God. You know what I mean? And then here he goes again. You have heard people say, love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I tell you to love your enemies and pray for anyone who mistreats you. And I'll tell you what, that's a hard one. I tell you what, man, and I struggle with that today, man, because I'm telling you, I try to follow Jesus, but I'm telling you, is something that you have to have the Holy Spirit guiding you, man. You know what I mean? We got to get our heads out of these clouds, man, and be like, oh, like, the church, a lot of the churches, that, what contradicts itself is that, you should stay away from certain people who do this. And I was trying to say, and that's in Timothy and Titus, and I was trying to say, dude, the truth is that Paul said that, and even Jesus said, we need to tell these people, man, pray for them, man. We need to tell them that, hey, we love you, man, and that Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior of all, who, especially take the gift, but he's Lord of all, you know what I mean? No matter, he said, and it says in the end, that every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, man. So, let's see here. He makes the sun rise on both good and bad, and he sends rain for the people who do right and for the people who do wrong. If you only love those people who love you, will God reward you for this? Even tax collectors love their friends. So what's so great about this? Don't unbelievers do that? No, excuse me. Yeah. Even tax collectors love their friends. If you greet only your friends, what's so great about this? But you must always act. Excuse me. What's that again? I don't know why I keep skipping that little part. If you greet only your friends, what's so great about this? Don't unbelievers do that? But you must always be like, or act like your Father in heaven. All right. All right. So I feel like this next part is probably the biggest problem we have in the church today. Everybody wants to brag about what they're, oh man, look what I did. You know what I mean? And, I understand why that lady even said that to me at the time, but I wouldn't mean it like that. I was just like, man, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm just trying to say I'm trying to do all I can for the kingdom, for Jesus, man. You know what I mean? Because that's my sole purpose in this life, He said, when you do good deeds, don't try to show off. If you do, you will get a reward. You won't get a reward from your Father in heaven. That's when he keeps going back and saying, like, hey, you will be, you're already, the people that's seeking that applause, the show off for everybody. That's the only thing they're getting, you know what I mean? Alright. I ain't gonna go too much longer. I'm gonna still start doing about an hour now, but he said when you give to the poor, don't blow a loud horn. That's what show-offs do in the meeting places or the synagogue, the churches, on the street corners. Because they're always looking for praise. I can assure you, they already have their reward. They got the applause. You know what I mean? They're like, "Hey, man, brother," that's all they're gonna get. He said, when you give to the poor, don't let anyone know about it. I mean, this is Jesus himself. He says, then your gift will be given in secret, and your Father knows what is done in secret and rewards you. Now, Jesus even said that. He knows before you even pray, he knows what, he knows. He already knows. You need those things, And then he says, this is what gets me with a lot of these people, When you pray, don't be like those show-offs who love to stand up and pray in the synagogues or on the street corners of the churches. They do this just to look good. And I can assure you, they already have the reward. And I'll tell you what, the reward, man, is all you're going to get. It's not going to be that luxurious, I can assure you. Now, excuse me. See, that's what I was just saying. When you pray, don't talk on and on like people who don't know God. They think God likes to hear long prayers. Don't be like them. Your Father knows what you need even before you ask it. Then, Jesus says you should pray like this. Our Father who art in heaven, help us to honor your name. Come and set up your kingdom so that everyone on earth will obey you as you're obeyed in heaven. Give us our food today. Forgive us of our wrongdoing, as we forgive others. Keep us from temptation and protect us from evil. Then he says, if you forgive others for the wrongs that they do to you, your Father in heaven will forgive you. But if you don't forgive others, your Father will not forgive yours. And to me, this is the biggest release that I got from the whole thing. It wasn't just forgive myself. I really didn't do too much bad stuff to people, for real. I mean, there was a couple times, I probably needed a finger pointed at me, but I've been doing wrong so many times, man. I don't even know, we're starting not really by, a more society, you know what I mean? And just like, coming up being poor my whole life, you know what I mean? And I was pretty popular in school and stuff. And, a lot of it came from because I, took care of the bullies, you know what I mean? I've always been a pretty big guy. I'm, 6'1", about 250. And even then, I was over 200 pounds. So, and this is like about other people fasting. I know, people fast. And I tell you, almost every one of them do not brag about it. Oh, yeah, it's got me this, it got me that. Yeah, but, you're not getting the important part. When I fast, too, I fast, so I can give to others, you know what I mean? When you go without eating, don't try to look gloomy as show-offs do when they go without the eating and they're going fasting, He said, I can assure you they already had their reward. Once again, from the people that are like, hey, man. Instead, comb your hair, wash your face. Then others won't know that you're going without eating. But your Father sees what is done in private, and He will reward you for it. Don't store up treasures on earth. Moths and rust can destroy them, and thieves can break in and steal them. Instead, store up your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy them, and thieves cannot break in and steal them. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say, I think they had the whole work thing figured out too. You know what I mean? Messed up too. See, they all got that from Paul. We all know, right? Book of Acts, I'm pretty sure. And I'm just trying to say, right, that it says that all the way through the Bible. But Jesus said put God's work first, which is preaching the gospel, go around praying for people, everybody sharing what they have, and just, what I mean? Building this followers of Jesus. For Isaiah chapter 9, verse 12 says, For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still, man. So Jesus goes on to say, I tell you not to worry about your life. Don't worry about having something to eat, drink, or wear. Isn't life more important than food or clothing? He said, look at the birds in the sky. Thought I heard the kid. I still got one more I ain't got now. But anyways, he said, look at the birds in the sky. They don't plant or harvest. They don't even store grain in barns. Yet your Father takes care of them. Aren't you worth more than birds? I mean, we are made in the image of God, you know what I mean? So, he said, can worrying make your life longer? Why worry about clothes? Look at how the lilies in the field grow. They don't work hard to make their clothes. But I tell you that Solomon, with all his wealth, wasn't as well clothed as one of them. God gives such beauty to everything that grows in the fields, even though it is here today and thrown into a fire tomorrow. God will surely do even more for you. Why do you have such little faith? Don't worry and ask yourselves, will we have anything to eat? Will we have anything to drink? Will we have anything to wear? Only people who don't know God are always worried about such things. Your Father in heaven knows you need all these things. Then this is it right here. He said, but more than anything else, put God's work first and do what He wants. Then the other things will be yours as well. Don't worry about tomorrow. And that's all they teach you is like, prepare, plan, this and that. He said, don't worry about tomorrow. It will take care of itself. You have enough to worry about today. You know what I mean? And here we go back to it, right? Don't condemn others, and God won't condemn you. God will be hard on you as you are on others. He will treat you exactly the same as you treat them. And that's what I'm trying to tell the church, man. Just like the Pharisees, when Jesus was trying to tell them, he said, man, y'all put so much on people. You know what I mean? You can't even do these things. You know what I mean? He said, man, you go over land and sea to gain one follower, and you make them twice as much to go to hell as you are. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to tell you, man, that's exactly what's happening today. That we're not building, followers of Jesus no more. We are building, I'm talking about nothing but Pharisees, man. You know what I mean? People, it says, do not condemn others. Well, I wonder if that's why James said that, right? Paul said that in Romans chapter 14, I'm pretty sure, 15:1. I wonder if that's why he said that, right? It might be 14. It said, God will treat you exactly as you treat them. I'm trying to say, man, it's really got our hand. Christian content itself on here, man. I can't even hardly watch it no more. I can't. All the hypocrites, all these people want to, always hating on somebody, man. They ain't even hating on the right people. I mean, look, these people out here doing witchcraft. These people out here, these satanic groups. You got, the abortions. Man, you go on this on and on and on. Man. But no, man, they're messing with people that watch, anime or, people that, play card games or people that, drink, or people that, smoke cigarettes. No, man. There's people out there killing babies, bro. You know what I mean? There's people out there that's killing Christians. There's people out there, that hate us and that, honestly, we should make a stand against. I'm just trying to say, I feel like, sometimes Christians for content pick on people. I do. Just because they found, they got something in the Bible on these people. And I'm just trying to say, it said, what we just say on chapter 7, verse 1 and 2. Don't condemn others, and God won't condemn you. And I'm telling you, that's all they teach in church. Oh, man, you got to stay away from these people. You got to do that, don't give, No, it is people bend scripture to what they want it to mean. Instead of just reading basically what Jesus said. Obviously, it's not that complicated. The parable get a little, you need to look into, I guess, a little bit, but think about it. But Jesus, man, was pretty straightforward with all this. The Sermon on the Mount, man, I feel like people just skip on it and, let's go study this and that, you know what I mean? To me, that says a lot right there with just about this whole generation, man. Everybody condemning one another. Everybody, it's just that God was going to treat you exactly how you treated people. You know what I'm saying? And you can see it all over the globe, man. I see it everywhere I go, especially in Christian content itself, because these people are preaching the word. I'm telling you, man. It's sad when people sold their souls for likes, comments, and subscriptions, you know what I mean? And not even, a little bit of money and all this crap that you're going to get down here. I'm just trying to say, dude, ain't nowhere. He said, do not store your treasures down here. He said, store your treasures in heaven. You know what I mean? Excuse me. He said, you can see the speck in your friend's eye. And this is exactly what I'm saying. Like these people standing in front of them. I mean, like, man, dude. But you don't even notice the log in your own eye. See, these people don't notice it. You know what I mean? Don't even see. You know, I'm telling you, that's what the devil does, man. Don't even see the log in your own eye, right? How can you say, my friend, let me take the speck out of your eye? And that's what all they're doing is they'll take this little speck. And Jesus said, those people were nothing but show-offs, man. First, take the log out of your own eye. Then you can see clearly. Or no, excuse me, I said that earlier. That's not what I said. So you can see how to take the speck out of your friend's eye. Right? He said, don't give to dogs what belongs to God. You know what I mean? And if you ask me, that's like everybody wasting away on these jobs and paying all these taxes and they're giving it all to the dogs, to the people that don't know God. That's all it's going back to. I'm just trying to say, man, look at the world system. You cannot say that this is a system of God. You know what I mean? We are living in the beast system, if you ask me. And like the pigs, the pigs, they get washed and they go right back to the mud and roll around, right? And if you give them your pearls, they will trample all over them, what he says. And see, this is the part what gets me about the Catholic Church and all these other people. Oh, you'll be baptized here to be saved, or all this and that, and all these people. He said, ask, and you will receive. See, my wife asked me, she's like, well, don't everybody that call upon the name of the Lord, are they saved? Yes. Unless you're a wolf in sheep's clothing, that's what I'm trying to say. Or some Nicolaitan, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to say, dude, these people are not really Christians, you know what I mean? He said, knock and the door will be open for you. You know what I mean? That's what he said. I am the door to the sheep pen. You know what I mean? He said, you have to come through me to enter. You know what I mean? He said, no man goes into the Father except by him. Oh, yeah. He said, and everyone who searches will find. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. But if you're not searching, how are you going to find it? He said, would any of you give a hungry child a stone if the child asked for some bread? Would you give your child a snake if the child asked for a fish? He said, as bad as you are, you still know how to give good gifts to your children. But your Father in heaven is even more ready to give good things to people who ask. And I know people that have been in these churches and, getting all in this religious stuff. They don't even want to ask God for nothing. But he said he's ready, waiting on you to ask him so he can give it to you. Treat others as you want them to treat you. Jesus said this is what the law and the prophets are all about. Go in through the narrow gate. The gate to destruction is wide and the road that leads there is easy to follow. A lot of people go through that gate. That wide gate, right? But the gate to life is very narrow. The road that leads there is so hard to follow that only a few people find it. Watch out for false prophets. They dress up like sheep they dress up like sheep, but inside they are wolves who have come to attack you. You can tell what they are by what they do. No one picks grapes or figs from thorn bushes. A good tree produces good fruit. A bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. Every tree producing bad fruit will be chopped down and burned. You can tell who the false prophets are by their deeds, and that's why we sat on here and talked about this whole hour. Not everyone who calls me their Lord will get into the kingdom of heaven, Jesus said. And honestly, we should use this verse right back at them because that's the problem, man. They teach all this stuff. It's not about religion. It's about relationship with God, man. You know what I mean? I mean, God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, and those who believe in him will not perish but have everlasting life. He said, on the day of judgment, many will call me their Lord. And will say, we preached in your name. We forced out demons in your name and worked miracles. But I will tell you, I will have nothing to do with you. Get out. Get out of my sight, you evil people. And see, if you go through the book of Revelation, all the churches, it always says that. All these churches, there's going to be people saved out everyone. I don't care what church you go to. They say, you got to be baptized here. Or, oh, if you don't go through the Catholic Church, you're not saved there. You know what I mean? Oh, the church elders denied you here. The deacon, kicked you out there. The priest had to. I was trying to say, Jesus said, the humble will inherit the earth. He said, those who humble themselves will be exalted, and those who exalt themselves above others will be brought down. You know what I'm saying? He said, anyone who hears and obeys these teachings of mine is like a wise person who built their house on a solid rock. Right? What did Jesus tell him? He said, who do you think I am? Peter, man, he rushed up here. He's like, hey, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. He's like, on that rock. See, and the Catholic Church likes to twist this too. But he's like, on that saying that you said, I'm going to build my church on that rock. Just like he's talking about this rock here. That Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of the living God. That God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. And those who believe in Jesus will not perish but have everlasting life. And that's what he just said here. That anyone who hears and obeys these teachings of mine is like a wise person who built their house on that solid rock. Rain poured down. And he said even hell couldn't come against the church that was built on Jesus was the Messiah, the Son of the living God. You know what I mean? And what he's all taught, man. It said anyone who hears and obeys my teachings of mine. It's like a wise person who built their house on a solid rock. Rain poured down, rivers flooded. Winds beat against that house. But it was built on a solid rock, so it did not fall. You know what I mean? Because they had their faith in Jesus. He said, no one comes to the Father except by me. Then he said, anyone who hears my teachings and don't obey them, like all these people I'm trying to tell you, these people exalt themselves above others that's wolves in sheep's clothing. They built their house. They're a foolish person who built their house on sand. When the rain poured down, the rivers flooded, the winds blew, beat against that house, and it finally fell with a crash. And when Jesus finished speaking, the crowds were so surprised at his teaching. He taught them like someone with authority and not like the teachers of the laws of Moses. That's what I'm trying to say. What did he say about the hired hands? You know what I mean? They left the sheep, you know what I mean, to be taken by the wolves. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to say I ain't never made $1 off this. I've been online preaching for almost 3.5 years. And I'm just trying to tell you right now that it's the best years of my life, man. God is truly real. He sent his Son to save us. And God bless y'all. And I'm out of here. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night. I think that's all we got. Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Oh, shoot. Huh? It might not let me get off. But anyways, I appreciate everybody coming out. I don't know when the live streaming shit. It's done this on me before. But I appreciate